I didn't tell my husband I'd lost 40 pounds because I wanted to see if he'd notice on his own. He didn't. This started about 8 months ago. I'd been going at it slowly. Nothing dramatic, just cutting the junk out, walking every morning before the kids got up, drinking actual water instead of the 3 Diet Cokes I used to have before noon. By the end of month 2, my pants were loose. By month 4, I'd gone down 2 full sizes and had to go through my whole closet to figure out what still fit. I wasn't telling anyone because every other time I'd tried to lose weight, I'd made the announcement and then it hadn't stuck and I didn't need people watching me fail again. But then it kept going and somewhere around month 5 something shifted. I started wondering, almost like a question I didn't mean to ask out loud even to myself, how long it would take Dan to say something. Not something big, not a whole moment, just something. He never said anything. Week 6, I had to buy new jeans because my old ones were getting embarrassing. I wore them to Sunday dinner at his parents' house. His mom noticed within 30 seconds of me walking through the door. She grabbed both my hands and just stood there holding them and said, "Oh my God, look at you. What are you doing? You look incredible." I told her I'd just been eating better and walking more. She wanted the whole breakdown, what I was cutting, how far I was walking, how I was feeling. We stood in her entryway for almost 10 minutes. Dan was right there the whole time. He went and got himself a beer from the fridge. He asked his dad something about the shelving project in the garage. At dinner, he passed the bread rolls and talked about work. He said nothing about me. On the drive home, I gave him every excuse I could think of. He didn't want to make it weird by commenting on my weight. He was distracted by stuff at work. I sat there building him a whole case. He turned up the radio and sang along to most of a Tom Petty song and then asked me if I wanted to do anything the following weekend. That's when I stopped making excuses and started paying attention. Month 5, I got a real haircut. Not a trim, I took 4 inches off and got actual layers. Nothing like I'd worn my hair in years. My friend Kara saw me in Target and screamed. A full scream right in the paper goods aisle. She grabbed both my shoulders and said, "What is happening to you right now? You look insane." I laughed and told her I'd been making some changes. I got home that evening and Dan was on the couch watching something. He looked up when I came in. He said, "Hey, how was your day?" and looked back at the TV before I answered. The following week, my coworker Lisa stopped me in the break room and said, "Did you do something different? You look like a completely different person." A completely different person. At work. Month 6, my mom came for a long weekend. She walked into my kitchen and her eyes filled up immediately. She held my face in her hands and just kept saying, "I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you." After dinner, when Dan had taken the kids upstairs for bath time, she sat across from me at the kitchen table and said quietly, "Does he know?" I shook my head. She looked at me for a long moment and didn't say anything else. I kind of wished she had. By the start of month 7, I was down 41 pounds. I was wearing a dress I'd bought 3 years ago and never been able to zip all the way. I had energy I'd forgotten I was allowed to have. I felt like a version of myself I'd almost stopped believing in. And something had gone very quiet in me about Dan. Not angry, exactly. More like I'd already gotten my answer and was just waiting to admit it. I finally said something on a Tuesday night. Kids were in bed, he was at the kitchen island on his phone. I was finishing the dishes. I didn't say anything because I wanted to see how long it would take you to notice on your own. It's been 8 months. He looked up. What? 40 pounds. 8 months. He stared at me. I could see him trying to figure out what his face was supposed to be doing. He actually looked at me, like really looked the way you look at someone you're trying to see, and then he said, "I mean, I thought you seemed a little different lately. I just didn't want to bring it up in case it came across like I was commenting on your weight." I said, "How would that come across wrong?" He said, "Like I was making a big thing out of it." "Dan, it's 40 pounds. He put the phone down. He said, "I was trying to be respectful. I didn't want you to feel like your body is the only thing I pay attention to." I said, "Your mom noticed in 30 seconds standing in her doorway." Kara screamed at me in Target. My mother came and cried in this kitchen and then asked me point blank if you knew. A woman at my job told me I look like a completely different person. I wasn't raising my voice. Everything in me felt almost calm. "This isn't about whether you notice my body. I'm asking if you notice me at all." He started to say something. I picked up my water glass and went upstairs. He came up about an hour later and sat on the edge of the bed. He said he was sorry that he'd been in his own head, that he knew he hadn't been present the way he should be, that of course he noticed, he just hadn't said anything, and he understood now why that was wrong, and he was going to do better. He talked for a while. I sat up and listened to all of it. When he finished, I said, "I know." I turned off my light. He's been bringing me coffee every morning this week. I've said thank you every time.